Hello everybody, San here, engineer, MBA, and investor. And in today's video, I want to talk about the press release from NTLA, Intellia Therapeutics, on the 25th of November, just a couple of days ago here, earlier in the past week that just went by. And NTLA announced that they've gotten RMAT from the FDA, and we'll talk about all of that here in this video. So, couple of breaking news, of course, this week, and the big one I think was from NTLA, and the title states here from their press release, and I quote: "Intellia Therapeutics announces FDA Regenerative Medicine Advanced Therapy (RMAT) designation granted to NextZ, which is basically Intellia 2001, for the treatment of ATTR." Okay. And basically, that's their press release, and that was announced earlier this week. And the next question you should be asking, well, what's the RMAT? What's all of this? And I'll tackle that in a couple of seconds here. But I do want to maybe head over Yair's post on X.com, and there's some couple of tidbits here. And again, amazing work from Yair, just uncovering these news, publishing it, making it really easy to the reader. I really much appreciate it. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I read all of these posts. I like them. I try to repost them when I can. I mean, I just like it. You can even tell I bookmarked that one. There was such a great news that was published this week, and Yair makes it so easy here. So I highly recommend people to follow Yair on X.com. Most people on this channel already follow Yair, so I'm not saying anything new. But if you don't, jump on X.com and follow that person. He is amazing. So, what is RMAT? I think there's one post here, and I kind of Google it. You know, Google obviously does trick here, but it's nice seeing someone from this space to make it tailored to the actual program here, the specific NTLA 2001 program from NTLA Therapeutics. I do want to mention though, NextZ. I don't really like saying NextZ. It's kind of hard to pronounce it in a. I don't know if it's because English isn't my first language or so, but it's kind of hard to pronounce NextZ when you're speaking on a, like in a long form sentence. Anyways, that's my problem, not yours. I will say though that NextZ got orphan drug designation by the FDA, US FDA, and they also got the European one some time ago. But the orphan drug designation, and I was like, okay, well, what's the difference between orphan drug designation and RMAT, which is what they just got this week? So there's this slide here, and again, Google does a lot of good work for us. Of course, I'm sure most of you guys use Google search, but this actually speaks volume here, because this is basically what it is, right? You have, their standard process, which you go through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, FDA review, and then potentially reviewed. Okay. Oh, you guys can't see it on my screen, the left side, but anyway, just take my word for it. That's the first row, right? The second row is your orphan designation, which is basically what they had previously with this program, right? So what is orphan designation? You're still going with phase 3. You're still going through that process, but the difference is now it's a lot less fee. You're getting some tax credits. You're getting some R&D grants. There's basically a trial design that's getting accommodated. Basically, you're getting help. You definitely want to go through orphan designation for any program with the FDA, because again, tax credits, R&D grants, and then you have the 7 years of market exclusivity, which is pretty big there. Again, we don't expect anybody to be tackling, ATTR with in vivo anytime soon, to be honest. And even if they were, it's not going to be done within the 7 time frame today, right? Again, things may change with the new U.S. administration and so on. There are going to be new players in the market. So I don't want to say it's not possible ever. I'm not saying it's a 0% chance likely, but it's a very unlikely there are any new players. So that's why orphan designation is great, but it's not amazing, because you still go through the same timeline. But here's the thing, that's the number 3rd row. That's what they just went through, the fast track RMAT. And basically, you can tell the difference between the 3rd row and the previous 2 is that now you don't go through phase 3. And now basically you have more frequent communication with the FDA and rolling with the FDA review. And of course, approval comes in, and then you have this phase 4 process where obviously you're going through the the optionality there to review that program and so on. Honestly, every program has, even after approval, they have to go through this phase 4, because if anything goes wrong in commercial, they're going to pull it back. The FDA has done that in the past. This is nothing new. So going back to my point here, fast track basically means they're eliminating phase 3. They're getting a shorter time to get this to the market / approved. And that's what they just got this week, which is pretty big. There's also accelerated approved, right? Where, again, another form of timeline reduction, right? And then you have priority review and breakthrough therapy, which we won't talk about here. But the point here I'm getting at is they've already gotten that second row, right? The one that you see here. Now they've gotten the third row, right? This is what we're looking at. So they've reduced now their timeline. They don't need phase 3 now. They can just stick with phase 2 and go forward with that. And there's one more slide here, and I think this is maybe stepping back here, but this is basically going to be the submission type of review, right, for any program, right, where obviously they still haven't done number 1, which is initial filing review, right? They're still going to have to go through each of these, right, where the FDA is going to have an in-depth scientific review, review and inspect the manufacturing facilities, this advisory committee meetings with independent players, experts. We remember that with CRISPR Therapeutics in October of 2023. I remember that towards the end of October 2023. And of course, the potential outcome. But you see between 4 and 5, you're looking at maybe a month-ish. If you remember, that was October 2023. By December, early 2023, it was approved. So step between 4 and 5, it's pretty quick, right? We're looking at a month, maybe a month and a half. It's more the step number 1 and 2 and 3. These steps can take a long time, right? I remember CRISPR Therapeutics and Vertex submitted their filings, I remember at the early of 2023, if I recall, and it took them until basically 2020, end of 2023, which is around October, to get to step number 4. So these 3 steps take a long time. But again, going back to this, CRISPR Therapeutics and Vertex had the fast track. They had the orphan designation. They had this accelerated approval where there was continuous communication with the FDA. And I think that's what I'm trying to get out of here. What we're looking at here is laying down the foundations of Intellia 2001 or Next Z. They're laying the foundation now to basically get themselves ready to file these documents and go through each of these steps that we're looking at, fast track it, get it expedited, get it to the hands of the commercial side of things, make money off it, but most importantly, cure these patients that never had these cures, right? Reduce those level of tax. One-time treatment in the liver, get that guide RNA with the Cas9 protein into the body, bind it to the TTR gene, reduce TTR proteins. That's what Intellia 2001 is doing. That's what this company is trying to tackle here. And I really feel bullish about this company, about this program. You know, I used to be really, really bullish with CRISPR Therapeutics, and I still am. But I just feel like over time, Intellia just became its beast on its own, right? From 2021, when they released that data in June, which was revolutionary. I still remember their stock was up like, 50% in a day, if you guys remember. You guys should expect that behavior when this program gets potentially approved. I mean, this is the thing that a lot of people in this space are looking for. This is the thing we're all waiting for, right? Not just for the stock price to go up, but for this space to take another leap, right? I feel like the FDA approval came at a time where the markets were down, the biotech market was down. You know, it's just been a gloomy type of year in the economy and been a social unrest. I don't want to get political here, but 2023/2024 hasn't necessarily been the best years in certain parts of the world, specifically in the Western world, especially with obviously the political issues around the world, which again, we're not going to get into, but I just feel like going forward 2025, 2026, and towards the end of this decade, we're going to see these revolutionary technology, form its own momentum and grab more investors, grab more resources, have the everyday Joe talk about it, right? The average person, go over it to say, hey guys, why we don't have a cure for cancer? Why don't we have a cure for this weird skin disease? Why don't we have, the treatment accelerated? Why does this company, like Intellia 2001 program, why do they have to wait years and years before getting it approved? Do we have the data right now? We have 2 cohorts, total of 21 sample. Get enrolled, maybe another 15, 20 sample for another year. Get those guys approved. I mean, these are conversations I feel like, I think this is the next era of biotech. It's the next era of genomics. And I feel like these big, like the ARK Invest of the world and these big institutions are going to get back in this space very soon. It's going to push money, allow these companies to invest further in their resources, invest forward in their workforce, expand their programs, develop new technologies, have more research into it, and just become more successful with what's the point of CRISPR, right? I'm all about, treating diseases and, one-time treatment. It doesn't even have to be a one-time cure. It could be a two-time, treatment, right? But eventually you have new iterations and these companies are going to form this momentum. I really feel that way. I think this is something I've studied carefully over the last few years. A lot of people on this channel have done that as well. So you see these types of release and you're like, why not? It's about time that the FDA takes a look at the CRISPR, not just seriously, but, take it as a top priority. And I know the US, a new administration that's going to be coming next year, in the next 4 years, are going to be looking at CRISPR. There have been rumors, there have been statements made. Again, these individuals at the top of the helm have to be careful not to name a specific technology because, again, some of these technologies are still kind of unknown in the grand scheme of things. But again, new technology is always groundbreaking. There's always going to be resistance. There are always going to be forces that kind of push back because they want to keep the status quo. But clearly the status quo is not working, because if it wasn't working, we would never have CRISPR in this landscape, right? So as always, guys, like this video, subscribe if you haven't. Do like it, guys. Our videos are coming to people's home pages. It really does help the channel. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think about this breaking RMAT news for Intellia 2001? And I'll see you guys on tomorrow's video here on Sunday. Have a beautiful Saturday. Thank you.